Hi everyone, it's Dr. Spinner. You may notice that I look different than usual. I decided that after yesterday's debacle that I would embarrass myself even more by dressing up in my Halloween costume. If anyone's unsure, I'm a witch. So, okay. What I wanted to go over yesterday was the inquiry assignment, again, to sort of clarify what exactly this inquiry presentation is supposed to look like. Now, one of the reasons why I think that, and it's not just like one person, it's like everyone is having a really difficult time sort of wrapping their heads around this inquiry assignment. And the reason why I think this is happening is because the inquiry paper the inquiry presentation was originally a paper. And so I think that when it was changed from a paper into a presentation, some things got lost in translation. So I want to show you an example of what an inquiry paper looked like and what the purpose of the inquiry is. So maybe that will clarify what you need in terms of content in the inquiry. So here, this student wrote on the topic of designer babies. So, and the question was, is it good or bad, right? So the term designer, and I'm going to start reading. The term designer babies is a relatively new one, coined by the media in the United States to describe embryos that are genetically altered before they are born. These embryos can be screened from a plethora of genetic abnormalities, which is known as pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, or PGD. The parents can then decide whether they want to further this process by altering their child's genetic structure through a procedure known as human germline engineering. Okay, so I'm going through, right, like, the student is establishing what their topic is, okay? And obviously this is here, so you can pause and you can read more of it. And they're giving a little bit of a background, right, about this topic. Eventually, this guessing game, it developed in the 1970s for an infertile couple. IVF is a process where an egg is fertilized outside a woman's body. So you see over here, there are all these in-text citations, and we're going to see that there is even more. So this part is what's crucial to the inquiry paper / presentation. The purpose of this piece is, okay, to define, right, like what it is that you are exploring, number one. Number two, it's similar to the summary in the respect that you are not inserting your opinion. What you're doing is you are doing academic research in order to see what other scholars are saying about the topic. And your job is to report back on what these scholars are saying and synthesizing, showing connections, right? It's not simply going to be like this side says this and this side says that. The more research you see, it's going to be more complicated, right? It's often going to be this side says yes, but then some of them say yes, no, and then so you have to really map out the connections. So for here, for example, she includes here, according to Dr. Klitzman, these questions include but are not limited to how often PGD is requested, blah blah blah, right? So Dr. Klitzman has his side, right, of the debate. Here we see, despite the disagreement concerning the creation of designer babies, advocates for the practice have publicized many arguments that see the benefits of PGD, right? So prior to this, she's talking about people who are saying, okay, well, there are a lot of problems with this, and then she goes, well, yes, but then there are also those who say that that they disagree and that they're advocates for designer babies. And here, all this stuff that she's, Dr. Weinstein here, or Wetstein, believes that PGD and HGE should be categorized with other preventative prenatal care techniques, as it also ensures a healthier baby in the future. However, experts who disapprove of the creation of designer babies note that the technology used to remove and change genes is still being developed and perfected, so there is not always a guarantee that it will work. Right? So here she says, Dr. Wetstein says, it should be, this designer baby, right, kind of technique where you're going into the genome and you're switching things around. He says that it should just be considered as a regular preventative natal care, right? And then she goes, however, there are others who disprove this, right? Who disapprove of this and say that you can't equate this with regular prenatal practices in ensuring that a baby is going to make it safe to term, because there's just not enough research, right? So you see like how she's going through all of the different kinds of, and I'll upload this, all of the different kinds of debates that circle around this topic, okay? One thing that she brings up here is that some people say that the idea of a savior sibling, creating like another embryo that would be able to could provide, right, the organs and stuff for that child who maybe gets sick. So, and talking about the ethics of that. So the point of her inquiry paper and the point of the inquiry in general, right, the inquiry presentation, is for you to do peer-reviewed research, right? That's why you're first doing the annotated bibliography. And in that search, you're seeing what people are saying about the issue, okay? And your issue has to be a very specific, pointed question. So, some students in other classes like are writing their inquiry on, let's say, like foster care. That's way too broad, right? You would have to have a very specific question regarding foster care to then do research on, and then include this kind of information into your presentation. So you're not writing this as a paper, but you're presenting this information in presentation form. So I'm hoping that clarifies that. I'm going to stop this recording right now, and then I'm going to record another one where I give another example of a different paper, so you can get another idea. So I will see you again soon. See how we stop. Okay.